every Monday from 6 to 8. He's also a prolific painter. Check out his website, check out his Instagram. He'll tell you more about himself. Please welcome Dwayne Kirby Jensen.
Blood offering. I hunger for the lonely places on the mountain, these living monuments of solace, renewing me the way spring renews wildflowers beneath a blazing sun attacking sleek gray sky. If my body makes my final blood offering, crumbles on the trail, a ridge or in a gulch, allow my body to lay there, undisturbed by human hands. Allow blowflies, beetles, and maggots to dine, tenderizing my limbs and torso for mammals. Allow crow and hawk to devour my sight. Allow me to nourish the soil for seeds yet to germinate. Allow me to become part of the mud that otters belly slide down, splashing gleefully into a quick moving river. Allow my bones to cast shadows concealing snail, frog, and salamander. Do not gather my remains. Do not lock them away in a dark, cramped casket, hidden from the sun, rain, and wind. Allow wind to hollow out my bones, transforming bones into musical instruments that accompany the howls of wolves. Allow me to be the silence, surrounded by abundant wildlife, going noisily forward, always forward. Well, thank you for having me back. I featured about 6 months ago. I loved it here. Thank you to Solo Bar and Speak Out crowd, and hopefully you'll enjoy the rest of the set. Part of it are poems that were inspired while I was hiking. Others are euphrastic poems, and a lot of the others are family poems. This piece was inspired by the William Morris's piece, Garnering, a 1992 assemblage of blown glass. Turning the corner, I pause. Stillness envelops me. I am compelled to lay another bone, antler, or skull within this altar. Tusks skyward, my thoughts enter and pass through this sacred arch. I think of the mammoths whose thundering footfalls no longer reverberate through the earth. I search my pack and pockets for a bone or antler I no longer possess. I look at each piece of once wild things, feeling their spirit beat my pounding heart. I am both statue and running beast. With empty palms outheld, I offer the altar my time. This next piece was inspired by an untitled photograph by Francesca Woodman, who lived from April 3rd, 1958 to January 19th, 1981, when she committed suicide. Francesca's peasant dress draped body possesses the stillness of a pale mannequin, arms outstretched, delicate fingers manipulating invisible strings of a marionette who has exited the frame, becoming another ghost in a room of ghosts, captured within her lens, more real than life itself. She stares, she stares, she stares. A poem for my father's birthday. June 11th, stares me down, the way a hunter stares through his sights, eager to steal flight from shimmering mallards. You are 15 years dead, but you live in my shadow, laughing drunkenly, always on the verge of breaking into a few verses of waltzing Matilda, who might be the only woman you never vetted. I hear your voice condemn me. There is no forgiveness in you. Your often repeated lines march like a column of obedient soldiers who have garrisoned themselves deep in my subconscious. When you speak, I think of William Shatner. Your mannerisms counterfeit his. The first time you snarled those words, I went quiet, swaying rhythmically with cold or grace. I looked at you with dead eyes, eyes that judged you guilty. You will never know how many times I thought of ending you. I do not possess the ability to forgive. You are correct in that observation. You can never admit that you were an empty father, that you did not possess a nurturing gene, that your own father was a shell of a man who lacked the skills to show you how to love. If you had, maybe I could have bridged my hate, allowed it to become a river flowing beneath our feet instead of one that was eager to reach up and drown us. But truth was only a tool you used to build fabrications, eager to be the glowing spotlight which people bathe themselves within. I see your shadow cringe, shocked that I did not say lies. Lie is a word that feels false. A good grifter, you weave intricate stories you believed were true 4 days a week. The way L. Ron Hubbard believed he was God half the time, and the other half that he had pulled the greatest con the world had ever witnessed. If I were Catholic, I might seek an exorcism. But you were more parasite to the demonic spirit, a parasite seeking to rewrite my memories with the skill of Stalin. Happy birthday, Dad. If there is an afterlife, I would roll the dice and place a bet. You prefer being demonized in this poem than being forgotten. What was that? Yeah, he was very much. Every time I watch Star Trek with Shatner, it's like, oh, Dad. It just, yeah. And Shatner still lives, so I have to see him occasionally, you know. Toad. Your ability to blend into the ochre-toned path, becoming a random stone casting slight shadows, almost led to your personal extinction. Without truly recognizing you, I halted my descending foot, which cast a momentary eclipse. If I had transformed you to pulp, ants and flies of various sizes would have rejoiced and swarmed, and I would have been devastated. We share a kinship I cannot explain, a bond I have felt since childhood. You trust in stillness as I edge around you. You remain nearly motionless, breathing, causing the faintest tremor of flesh. Without grace. I hike turtle slow, but without a turtle's grace, as this body relearns how to navigate elevated trails cluttered with roots, rock, and debris. With disintegrating ankles and vanishing cartilage, missing a third of my mass, inertia reacts differently now. My eyes feel that they belong to another. My judgment of stone height and depth is a hair off. These smallest fractions often cause me to carom step to step, elevation to elevation, like a skid row drunk whose own habitual movements create an urban ballet. My own movements are sad. A weakened beast, waiting to be felled by wolves. And this is another piece inspired by Francesca Whitman. Nude, less revealing than eyes always in shadow, forever staring at a desolate future where she would never exist. And this is inspired from a 1921 etching by Edward Hopper called Evening Wind. Her unseen eyes are drawn through her open window against a bland, endless gray sky. She reads good omens within the murmurations of starlings, admiring their freedom of flight, their endless array of black patterns, living ruins etched into the sky. Chastising herself, she says out loud, swallows are the carriers of good omen, those birds seafarers long to see. Unwilling to cover herself in sheets that have been kicked to the end of the bed, she kneels into her crumpled nest, feeling her new body cooled by the exploration of dew-damp sea breeze. She lives in a shadowed room, eroded, fearful of predators, yet desiring to be feathered, to take flight and travel beyond her self-imposed confinement. A tear leaks down her featherless face. She understands her truth. If transformation were possible, she would be a lonesome bird, never part of a flock, but a bird who prefers to soar alone. Even the flapping curtains taunt her, mocking her inability to fly, or even flee on 2 feet beyond the horizon that might offer escape where she fears the continuation of disappointment. The blood I carry. I carry the gentle blood of my mother's father, a man who nurtured the land, growing corn, potatoes, carrots, peas, squash. His pole peas reached such heights we found refreshment in their shadow. I carry the blood of my mother's mother, who believed a tight tether equaled love, equaled safety. Her tangled fears birthed my rebellion. Her eyes told me she envied my wildness. I carry the blood of my mother, poet, painter, photographer, gatherer, who taught my brother and I to follow our heart path. I carry the seeds of greed planted by my father, his drive to cultivate easy money with convoluted schemes, spinning sensational yarns only the gullible could swallow. I turn my back on money as a barometer to prove self-worth, yanking my father's blighted roots from my tainted heart. I carry the blood of wood carvers, barn and shipbuilders, foresters, barbers, dairymen, bootleggers, and radical wobblies. I carry my own blood, a confluent of conflicting hereditary lines, a man fluent in the way of darkness, choosing to pen poetry that bleeds, shimmering words devouring shadows, laying bare blunt truths with the exactitude of dissecting a frog. And this piece is called Evening in the City, and it is inspired by a series of Edward Hopper paintings. My footsteps, almost silent, carry me forward as I wander into, then out of, a series of nearly empty rooms, each door yawning wide in hope of patronage. In this corner room, facing westward, dull wallpaper that once might have borne a floral pattern, a nondescript narrow bed, sea green sheets lay lifeless, worn curtains, colorless, too weary to flutter in an unenthusiastic breeze. Their dangling sadness reminds me of a funeral shroud. Hopper and his nude model have yet to arrive to inhabit this room of shadow and light. At Trail's End. Was it the ravages of time or angry beavers that collapsed this aging bridge, which lays like a mangled corpse stripped of flesh? White bones tempt me to grab a pair of maramba mallets to play a lively zydeco tune. Something heavy thumps the murky water. Do the beavers think I am a beast made of wood? Am I next to be whittled into submission? Snakes. Snakes are swarming out of the underbrush, slithering across the descending portion of the switchbacking Wallace Fall Trail. Each refuses to stay on the designated path. Weighted weather lays foreboding, a tightening noose encircling Mount Index. The sound of falling water, which on my hike upward wrapped me in a blanket of serenity, now murmurs like a crowd awaiting an execution. Growling thunder foretells the approaching rain, but all I hear is my father's snarling voice. You're a snake. You've always been a snake. A weather forecast I have had to live with, even though his lips have been ashed since February 10th, 2009. Thick, weighted raindrops impact the dusty trail, causing dozens of mini atomic clouds. The only thing that survives are snakes. These next two pieces are ones I substituted about 5 p.m. for another poem I had chosen, so
All right.
I think these are happier than the one I took out. At the corner of 35th and McDougal. At the corner of 35th and McDougal, the unlucky rabbit hops no more. 2 crows pick through what remains of its soft meat. With each pluck and tear, the blooded, stained carcass rises and falls, floppy ears unable to hear the incessant squawk of a lone seagull demanding its turn. I wonder if the unlucky rabbit screamed the way my rabbit shrieked, shredded the silence on the night 42 years ago when the neighbor's French poodle closed its jaws over poor Zodiac's head. The seagull eyes me as if to say, I have dibs on what remains. A rose for Stina. Stina Ostenberg Larson, 2/7/1843 to 1/25/1929. Remembering is more than a rose, but today I brought roses to the graves of those who share my blood, whose bodies lay beneath grass and trees and the sweeping blue sky full of wings, whose spirits I trust travel in grace. The soil has grown rich in bone, blood, and memory, but I do not need to walk through this landscape of granite-carved names to remember. Each is etched in my mind. Each lives within my every breath. I inhale the sweet scent of sun. I feel the wind. Listen to the birds call, crow to sparrow to starling to owl. A cock full of deep-lunged pride lights the appetite of a soaring hawk. In the distance, a red tractor heaps hay into row upon row for baling. I think of my grandfather speaking of death, how, as a young teen, he wondered, now that his favorite uncle had passed, who would milk the cows, feed the chickens, and till the land. There were hours of stories, food, and condolences. Then someone slipped away, took care of a chore. Then someone else slipped away for a moment, each carrying on the day-to-day business of simply living. This is the weight I carry.
Anybody want anything? How about you?
Oh, nice. Can I have a maker's leaf, please? Thank you.
Beagle. A beagle licks blood from my leg. Compassion or desire for salt. A hunger for the taste of iron. It never meets my eyes. Its sister looks on with those sad brown beagle orbs. It has no interest in me as a human, only as an object to be exploited and discarded. I think we just doubled our attendance, didn't we?
Yeah.
If not, we've got a drinks for him.
Okay. Kohlrabi. Each time I come across this word, the most perfect word in any language, this gift from the Japanese, used so beautifully by James Cruz in his poem, Light and Dark, I realize I am a living embodiment of Kohlrabi. I am the container holding my father's darkness, my mother's light. I am the dark moss hanging in the shadows where diffuse sunlight sprinkles promise on a few lucky tendrils that gleam momentarily with the warmth of an exposed heart. I am the pride of a single moment of a frayed union, an unraveling tree being shredded by bear claws and holed by woodpeckers, an endless waltz of dark and light, of sadness and exaltation contained within me. We're now coming down to the last three poems. Time becomes a pause. Frog greets me like a friend who misplaced time. Time becomes a pause. Pause becomes history. We share a meal. Flies for him, a crunchy red apple for me. Hummingbird hovers, an acquaintance who desires to be included, failing to understand the moment. Frog and I embrace silence. We communicate in stillness. Stillness, a concept foreign to hummingbird's nature. A joke about a rabbit. My thoughts drift with each bite. I imagine sharing this fine feast of ripe blackberries with a very large black bear, each unbothered by the other. Each takes time to enjoy the freshness, our eyes acknowledging our simple joys. Bear grins, grants me a moment of fluency, telling me a joke about rabbits. Finally, we part ways, a moment of kinship shared. You plead, share the joke. It does not translate into human. And we will close with Tosca. And originally this piece had been birthed as an impromptu piece back on 9/4/23. The audience gave me 5 words: bulbous, labyrinth, linger, homely, and spaz, which is a word I hate and it's out of this poem, but that was how this thing was birthed. I grew up feeling like an orphan, discarded by a father who wanted nothing to do with me or my mother, or all the other children he fathered, then denied existed. I feel like I was the ugly duckling, homely in clunky black-rimmed glasses, moppy hair making me look like an angry Muppet. People said, "Oh, but you're cute." I knew they lied. Emptiness stays with you forever, especially that sense of being an orphan, discarded, eyes forever locked on the horizon. There was nothing in me that connected me to anyone in my family. I knew intellectually they thought they cared for me, but it felt hollow. My heart felt nothing but a cavernous echo. My eyes always looked beyond that which was easily within my grasp. I have lingered within this sadness for 6 decades. It clings to my bones who bear its weight. There is no escaping it. Even in death, my final exhale will taste of sorrow. Occasionally I break into some wild gyrating dance, masquerading momentary exaltation, a sad Faust clown with a painted on smile. Individuals who feel as I recognize the Sada transfixed in my vision, the Tosca thickening my blood, the Kanashi perspiring through my pores, the vermouth of my posture, blue eyes always wary of intent. I possess the soul of a poor Russian peasant who watches the world through bleak, bleak eyes. Each moment, of beauty glimpsed underscores the suffering on our quest for solace. Trying to escape one's sorrow is like trying to navigate a labyrinth that only spirals deeper and deeper and deeper away from all sense of humanity. I want to drop to my knees and give up, but I never do. I revel in the emptiness. I create a bulbous cocoon out of sorrow. I capture people's sorrow in words and paint. I build a world populated by sorrow, complete with a thin glimmer of distant light. I have become sorrow's gnomon. Sorrow has been my life.
Thank you. uplifting poems?
Yes, yes, actually, yes. So, we'll take a short break. Please grab